I'm on a date tonight, so I'll have to just up and go to... No, I'll just do it in front of her, shouldn't
Going! He's kept going! He scored! Oh, Stockport pressure. And a superb goal! Charlie did it! Lisa! Rose tries to get the ball in. Wilkinson!
It's a 5-star performance from Stockport County.
All right, we got a small house, but we got a big bloody heart, I tell you.
Hello, and that's why I'm not a therapist. It's not for me, that. Hello, and welcome. No, 3 seconds, that's how long that lasted. Brilliant. After our big master plan. Hello, and welcome to the 51st outbreak of SK3 TV, the show for the thinking county fan. As long as that fan's thinking, well, at least we've got a Wrexham 3 season to look forward to. And what's with Bolton fans suddenly being really weird? And so it is, as it was, the season comes to a heartbreaking end, but it's not all bad, as we'll be discussing over the next hour and a bit. Sorry for the earlier than usual start, but some people have to go out later. Not us, but some people. I mean, statistically, I bet some people do have to go out later. It's very likely. Joining me to pick over what is a packed evening of action both on and off the pitch, it is, of course, Hannah. Hello, how are we?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's as it should be. I think haven't we done like already several Harry Styles song references?
Oh yeah, it is. I was going Tony Wilson with that. I didn't even think. I forgot about Harry Styles. That's on our playlist. That available now.
Yeah, I feel. Yeah, I'm more upset than I thought I was going to be. I have always been this season. It's too much too soon. We need another season in League One. But at the back of my head, I was very much managing my own expectations. And I think I said last week, like I wasn't bothered at all until 12:25 at Orient. And yesterday, by the tail end of extra time, my jaw was going like a raving cocaine addict. I'd biting my fingernails because I got my fingernails done today. It was nice to not have to worry about having playoff nails and whether playoff nails were going to be like bad luck or something, or whether
another thing to your list of mad superstitions.
Yeah. So that's it. I know it's probably not a very popular take. I'd rather have lost last night than lose at Wembley.
Agreed very much. I mean, so we've known each other a couple of years now. We've been doing this together for a year. Quick trust exercise, just to cement it all. Did Charlie Kelman's disallowed goal put us, kill our chances of Wembley?
No, it did not.
Good.
I saw that I've been accused of name dropping today, but I'll bloody do it again because it could have been better because we could have won. But I was on 5 Live Breakfast this morning, and the presenter Rick
Edwards, formerly of T4.
Rick. Yeah, that's the one. Rick had said to me, like, "Are you over the Charlie Kelman decision?" And I was like, yeah, the level of refereeing in the lower leagues is notorious. We say that we want VAR, but we don't really want VAR. Most people don't want VAR unless there is a decision like that goes against you. But there will be other times where we get away with things that we wouldn't do otherwise. The Orient fans last night were going on about that Moxon tackle in the box. So I think, and he was like, "Oh, you're a better person than me that you've already forgotten about it." But we went into last night, everything was equal. It was, you know, a new game. Effectively, the slate was wiped clean, and ultimately we didn't do enough. So no,
Well, we can just
answer
leave
your
it there then.
question.
It's a 6-minute podcast. That's a record shortest one. And we have got plenty to go at tonight. So we'll be talking about last night, or Orient 2 Electric Boogaloo, as I've christened it. We have we've not got just one unapproved county Facebook group post of the week. Not two. No, we have got four unapproved county Facebook posts of the week, which we'll be getting peppered in throughout the show. We will also speculate on the retained list, which Dave Challoner has mentioned in his interview that he'll be speaking to players on Friday. So we could get that over the weekend or Monday at the latest. Monday would be very handy because we could do a podcast Monday night.
Just hang on. Are you
Yes.
wearing another team's football shirt? What is it?
It's one of those. I got a surprise shirt box from FanHub a while back, and it's
Right.
I can't say it. Mahalaika Manila FC of the Philippines. I went to look at the
Okay.
Philippines league table, and that is if you
Are they in the playoffs as well? So you've thought, fuck county, I'm gonna be.
yeah. I'm just latching onto another playoff team. No, I'm all over Oldham now. Oldham are my boys at the moment.
I'm going to Scunny and Chester on Sunday.
I'm tempted to go to watch Oldham at York. Very tempted. Sorry, county, you're dead to us now. You know, but
I tell you what, like Scunthorpe better win on Sunday. I need some like promotion, good juju, and a pitch invasion, and you know, all of that.
I have a very soft spot for Scunthorpe, so I would like them to do it.
Yeah.
And we will also we've asked you in the comments for your reasons to be cheerful ahead of next season, which is what we will be doing. So you get them in throughout the show, and we'll have a chat. And we've both got some suggestions for that. Before we get into it all, though, we'll do the admin. We are, of course, proudly sponsored by Blackbird Kitchen on the pans at Gorilla Whitworth Street, Manchester, and on the grills at Impossible, Manchester. And he's got something else in the pipeline. Shh. I know what it is. I'll tell you later. And that helped me get some good gossip that I've also already.
Oh, cool. Do you know
so.
what though? As well, you know, I used to get really excited in a very I know actually, just very excited generally about Andy's roast and the pictures, and then they closed and they moved. I'm now fixated on there's like a steak dish, and it comes sliced with like a pepper sauce on it. It looks mega.
Yep. I mean, that's done things for me. But that'll probably form part of our content over the summer because we'll be doing a whole host of stuff. We've got a series lined up of things to do in Stockport on a Saturday that don't involve the football. I'm going to take up bowls. I decided on a whim last night, walking from the Alex to the ground, that I'm going to take up bowls, I think.
Do you know what you should do? Because when Joel Goldman off of Sweden came over on the Sunday, I took him to the nursery for like just the kind of
history.
historical significance. There's not even a blue plaque there. It's shocking, quite honestly. I might get them one. You can get them off like shit joke websites, can't you?
Yeah.
They need one, but they were playing bowls there, and I was trying to explain it to him, and I just kept getting really distracted because there was one team and they had bowling balls that were like orbs, and they were almost see-through and like slightly tinted red. They were stunning, and suddenly ADHD Hannah is like, right, this is going to be my new thing. And you can just imagine, can't you? If you came round, you'd trip over the bowling balls that are, in the boxes by the front door that will never be opened, and they'll just go straight in the garage. Yeah,
But it's not like...
I love that for you.
Because, sometimes bowling alleys, like 10-pin bowling, they'll do the
Yeah.
thing where they have all like the strobe lights and stuff, and they give you like glow in the dark balls. So could you do that with the crown green bowls and just
Oh my God,
go out
that
to Sandra
could
Park at
be
night?
like that could be a whole thing. We could rent out the Roller-Armour in Hazel Grove. I don't know if it still exists. It probably doesn't. But yeah, that would be brilliant.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that. We'll sell tickets.
You could be Black. Have you seen Blackball?
Have I seen Blackball? Yes.
Yeah.
That could be
Like,
me.
I might watch that again. I said a few weeks ago, I said that I was going to watch it again. I was going to make Charlotte watch it. No, it was Sophie that came with me, because she'd never seen balls before either. I think it just looks like a cool thing to do. Anyway, we should probably talk about
Yes,
actual
so I'm
football.
I'm taking up bowls. I can't even remember where I was going with that.
With
Yes,
other
so that'll be
things to
part of the
do
series of things to do in Stockport, and
Yeah.
we'll also go to Andy's gaff as well and get some good
Yeah, that's a good shout.
content. We can also go live on. This is just turned into a production meeting, but it's the end of the season. Couldn't give a shit. We can also go live on TikTok now, so keep an eye out for that. That's going to be fun. I'm just going to pass it to your children. That's all I'm gonna say. Tell us what
Charlotte
to do.
particularly got exceptionally good at hijacking the League One look one. So no, lower league look one. It was the one with all the followers, and
Right.
yeah, we enjoyed that.
Good to have a couple of messages. John, our friend, the Birmingham fan, called in for a flying visit, saying commiserations on
Aw.
last night and good luck next season. And of course, our good old mate Matt from Racecourse Rambo.
Matt, the stirrer. He acts all friendly, and then he's starting a campaign to get a bloody billboard on the way to Carrington. I've suggested that if they get any financial pledges, they should donate them to charity. Maybe the Wrexham Miners Project, because they were bloody lovely to me. And also the lads aren't at Carrington for the next couple of months anyway, so it'd be a bit of a waste of money. There you go, Matt.
It would.
Oh, and Aled as well. All
Nice,
the nice
isn't it?
Wrexham fans are
It's
here.
nice. It feels like my birthday. It's lovely. Except I want to cry. Oh, it is just like my birthday then. Yeah, it's exactly the
Yeah,
same
I want to
thing.
cry on my birthday as well.
Yeah, I just don't like it.
We normally play Wrexham around then. I get a bit,
Yeah, that'll
heads
do
up
it,
by
yeah.
it all.
It's just a
Not
couple of
this
weeks of emotion. Yay! Until we get them in the cup, inevitably. Hannah, tell people what to do if they're watching.
They should like and subscribe kindly, please. I'm not telling them to do it, but if they would like to, I'd be fully supportive of that decision.
Yes. What we'll do, seeing as we've got 4 of them, we will have an unapproved county Facebook group
So
post of the
exciting.
week. And after which we will get into the football and everything that surrounds it.
Unapproved County Facebook group post of the
That jingle excites me so much.
So I feel like these are gonna. Are they all recent? Are these like
Yes,
in the
they
last
are.
24 hours?
These are
No.
last 24 hours.
Oh
I've
my
gone
God.
chronological with them as well.
Hang on a minute.
The time is 7:14. Yes, you'll need that. You will absolutely need that. As one of our commenters on Facebook, was it Alistair Fielding? He said he's going to hide behind the sofa for this segment. So it's
well,
like
I
Doctor
was
Who in the
gonna-
60s.
I've got Vernon as well for.
Oh, don't
emotional
make him do
support.
it. Don't make him do it. So for those who aren't au fait with the county supporters Facebook group, there's a pinned post on there when there's a big game that people are searching for tickets, saying, "Don't be posting on there begging for tickets.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a ticket, just keep an eye out for one of the numerous posts that come up selling a ticket." So, our first rejected post of the evening. What on earth is a pinned begging post, and where on your Facebook page is it? Firstly, you should follow your own rules by being kind and polite. Saying, "Are you taking the piss?" is not being kind, it's being rude. Secondly, I was not begging for a ticket, I was simply asking where I could get hold of one. My first port of call was to the Stockport Supporters Club. The clue being in the name, Supporters Club. Now, that's not the name. For starters, before you even got into this, it's called the
It's a
Stockport
group.
County Supporters
Like-
Group. It's not a club. If it was a club, I wouldn't be in there because I don't want to be part of any club that would have me as a member. So
I
that is
thought they were referring to the co-op as well, because I feel like the co-op's more of a club than.
maybe they need to bring back the supporters club. Like Damon's doing it, and with the High Peak supporters
Yeah,
club,
he
ain't
is.
they?
They've done a great job. It was fun.
Maybe we should do. I might do a supporters club, but for a very specific area, for a very, very specific, like 10-meter area in
Like your
Stockport.
road.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Like you could have a minibus or a coach, and it'd be like, right, stop up, like pick up at like outside mine, and then that's the only stop.
Yeah.
Like that's it, and then it comes back there at the end. Be great.
Sorted. I think I'll just get an Uber in that case.
All right, can I put my pillow down now?
You can put your pillow down for now, love.
Bloody hell. What?
I'll play the noise, and then we'll get on to the football. So, before we get onto the actual 2 hours plus of
There was a
football
lot of
action,
football last night.
genuinely, one of my favourite things about these occasions is the whole atmosphere before the game. Like, I got down to the ground about 6:15, and it's just that thing of just seeing people that you see every week, but it's somehow different. I don't know. It
felt. I think the weather helped massively.
Oh,
So I had a webinar to run at 5:00, and it was supposed to run for 45 minutes. It finished at 5:30, which I was very relieved by, because at one point I was going to be running the webinar from my car in the Caroline Street car park. And then I couldn't. So I was down. I think it was like just before 6. I couldn't get parked in the Caroline Street car park. 2 hours before kickoff, I'm like, this feels unusual. So I had to go and park around by the back of the co-op, and just walking down Castle Street, it felt different. There was a kind of, don't know, I guess it was anticipatory celebration to a certain, like everyone was kind of giddy and up for it.
Yeah, but yeah, the weather does definitely help. And it's not nice seeing you got all the media milling around. A friend of the show, Dave. I was listening to Radio Manchester on my walk up, and friend of the show, Dave Philbin, and his daughter Lily were both on Radio Manchester, which was lovely. Yeah, good day for Gaz and Emily from Radio Manchester, because they've gone from having to talk to us to having to talk to Lily, someone who actually knows about football. So that's a start. Someone who's not just an idiot.
Oh,
that was good for them. But it was just really nice. I didn't bother to chance the courtyard because it was. I mean, often it's too busy for me, but it was even more. But I'm not drinking at the moment either, so it was just nice milling around outside the 1883 with you. It was a nice evening, and I thought,
and it was the courtyard was busy. I think I got down about 6:15. I missed. I mean, this is clearly where I've gone wrong, and I apologise profusely, because I didn't partake in the heads and tails because I was too late. I didn't. What else didn't I do that I know? I didn't buy any draw tickets because I wasn't there when. So I tried. I tried my best.
That's all you can. Did you put your bet on?
Oh my God. Right. Yes, I did. I'd like to let everyone know that as far as Paddy Power are concerned, we didn't lose.
As far as all the bookies are concerned, it was a draw. It was a draw. It's not just a Paddy Power thing.
I get it. I just didn't know, because I don't bet, and I only bet when, like, towards the end of the season, and I bet against us. And so after I dropped you off, I was like, oh, something good's come of this. I'll pay for my takeaway tomorrow night. I'll have a nice takeaway, and that'll cheer me up. And then I looked in it, and it was like, bet settled, lost. So, fuck.
Yeah, that's what they do to you. There's only one winner in gambling, Hannah, and that's the bookies.
I know, and I've been quite happy to lose a $5 every game for the last couple of months.
Yeah,
but I was less.
That's what's contributed to this run of form we've been on. That's been the main factor. So, but on to the game then.
Mm-hmm.
I felt yes, Cam, we did lose because Hannah didn't bet on us to lose penalties, but we're not going to delve into that because we've got a lot to get through. On to the game. It just to go. Obviously, this fantastic atmosphere building up before the game, and then I laughed when they went a goal up because it was so county. That was so just this whole build up and anticipation. But I think half the reason I laughed is that I think it's 8 games in a row where we've come from a goal down.
Right.
So that's why I was laughing because I was like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
it's
what
cool.
we need. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what needs to happen for this comeback.
Yeah, and I mean, it took us so long to get going. But I think, the goal I've watched back, their goal I've watched back several times because I've never watched the penalty shootout of the Carlisle final. I've never watched the penalty. I've never seen this Ackle-Wright miss that people always go on about.
Oh, really?
Never seen that.
How come? Why? What were you doing?
No, I saw it at the time. I saw it at the game.
Oh, right. But
I've not seen it. No. People go on about it like
neither
it's
have
this
I.
big
Why would you
thing.
put
I've
yourself
not watched
through that?
No, I've
Like-
watched Canto's goal from Wembley, and that's it.
Yeah.
But I did actually make an effort to watch the highlights this time, and it's just the irony is they've obviously worked hard on their set pieces, as have we, because that's where most of our chances came from, which I'm sure we'll get
Yeah.
onto. But they had a player deliberately offside who ran back onside as the ball was played, and that seemed to throw off half of our players. And it was just the irony. The Orient fans took a lot of pleasure out of singing "Offside Again" all the way home.
Yeah.
Just constantly. The first time I was like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. And then after that, I was like,
Yeah.
right, can you stop it now? Like, got some built
Yeah.
up trauma here. I've not processed it yet. Did it feel like one of those nights to you?
I think as soon as we lost the coin toss and had to shoot towards the Cheadle end in the first half, that was for me. You know, we talked about Wimbledon and like Kirsten Dunst's game and the little things. That for me, that was it. I don't know it. And Pete Wild, when I interviewed him a few years ago, said the one way to destabilize Stockport County is to make them shoot at the railway end in the second half.
Interestingly, Dave Challoner also used to say that when he was Fylde manager.
Oh, really? I've not heard that.
He used to. I think it was. I don't know if it was a podcast that he did, or if it was one of his. I think it was one of his interviews when he was Fylde manager, one of his club interviews, and he said basically he wanted to come and frustrate us straight away because he knew the fans would get on our backs, and Dave Challoner knowing what the fans are all about. That's an interesting one. That'll come
We'll
up later.
get to that.
but yeah. As soon as I was fine with us getting turned round because I was in the railway end, so it kind of worked all right for me. But normally I'd be livid. But it just, I don't think they were, even though we weren't great in the first half, I didn't think they were noticeably better than us in the first half.
I think they were noticeably better than they were on Saturday.
Yes,
and,
definitely, yeah.
One of the things that Richie Wellens said was that he'd made his substitutions too late in the game. And he started with a slightly different lineup. Like Williams, who had been all over Fevs, didn't come on until somewhere in this second half, I think. Jamie Donnelly was infinitely better. I didn't even notice him on Saturday, and he was everywhere last night. Charlie Kellman, I think we were better at neutralizing. He didn't seem as dangerous as he did on Saturday, but I think because they'd moved things around, it felt the whole game like we were trying to control them rather than playing how we wanted to play. And there's a stat doing the rounds at the moment that all the very possession-based teams have gone out in the playoffs so far. And I think, and the interesting thing as well was that Richie Wellens was nowhere to be seen. I mean, he was on the bench, but he was sat down. It was that I'm not a massive fan of John Terry's brother,
No, not a fan
the
of any of the
assistant manager.
family,
He's
to be
like,
honest.
because we were sat just behind the dugout, and he's really unpleasant with the officials and just kind of generally. And no sign of Richie Wellens at all. And then every single minute of extra time, he was up out of his seat. It was really weird. Maybe.
I'm not sure at what point Weldon's came, because he was sat in the stand at first.
Oh, was it? Well, that would
as he does at
explain
home.
it.
But I'm not sure what point he came down.
Well, definitely by extra time.
Yeah, but he looked to be, yes, Lee Corn, thank you. Yeah, director's
Right.
box. He's
So
sat in, yeah.
that makes sense. So there was a bloke in the Orient dugout who was mic'd up.
Yeah, the ace. Yeah,
and
yeah.
he was talking to someone behind me to the
Yeah.
right. So that would have been.
He could have
Rich
shouted.
Wellens.
It's not far. He could have just shouted to him.
Yeah. Well, it was quite funny sometimes because clearly the crowd noise was interfering their comms, which made me laugh.
Speaking of crowd noise, I am convinced, having been in the railway end last night, that Kenny's mic is left on, because I could hear crowd noise coming through
Oh, really?
the PA. I
Well,
am convinced.
they had issues with it last night, and by the end it wasn't working at all. So there was no kind of man in the match announcement. There was nothing. It just stopped working.
Oh no! We had the man. I heard the man in the match announcement.
Oh, really? Oh, maybe it was just in the main stand there.
Because it was Tanto Olafe, and it was named about 7 seconds after he'd blazed a chance over the bar. But nailed on man in the match for me anyway. Regardless, yeah, half time was I heard a few boos at half time, which really annoyed me. That annoyed me more than people leaving early during a penalty shootout, I'll say.
Do you think they were directed at the referees?
See,
You can never tell.
so it felt from, I don't know if it's because of the people I was stood with, that it felt like the referee was giving them everything. So I tweeted just before half time. I was going to tweet slagging the referee off, and then I thought, no, maybe I've got it wrong here. So I just said, oh, the ref's good, isn't he? And that leaves it open then. That leaves it open as to whether I'm being sarcastic or I'm being serious. But Moxon could have gone in the first half, I will say that much. The SK3 TV, the formerly SK3 TV sponsored away Owen Moxon.
I don't. Oh, that's right. Do you know what? Earlier on, when I was thinking about reasons to be cheerful, there was something came in my head, and then as is normal, it went from my head immediately. And getting to pick up my Owen Moxon match worn shirt was a reason to be cheerful.
There we go.
I think he was not as bad as he was made out to be. I think he let the one thing he did let them get away with was consistent time wasting. That's the
Yes.
I think for me that's the thing that he could have been much tighter on, and it was just blatant. So
And he wasn't being tight at all on it. He wasn't even, I know referees always point at the watch like saying, oh, I'm adding the time on. But there was 1 minute, they were time wasting in the first half, particularly the goalkeeper Keeley, who had a very good game. He was time wasting first half. There was 1 minute added on, and then we had 4 minutes at the end of normal time.
They were
so
very Peterborough-esque in their inability to stay on their feet as well.
Yeah,
terrible posture. Not posture. What do you call it?
I don't know what the word is.
When you can't stand up.
I just call it Saturday night.
Gravity.
But yes, there was there was a point in the first half where I thought it might boil over. It got very physical.
Yeah.
And there was a point where I thought, oh, we might end up getting a red card here. Beckles, who was superb once again, but there was a point that I think it's probably the most frustrating thing part of the evening for me, was that we had a point towards the end of normal time leading up to the goal where we were getting in behind, but we were targeting Beckles and getting Tanto in behind him.
Yeah.
We got the goal. Tanto had the chance where it was him and Beckles going for the ball, and he won the ball, fashioned a chance for himself, and inexplicably didn't shoot low like he normally does. He just tried to hammer it, and then after that, it was like we thought this has been a common thing. It's almost like last night was a microcosm of the season. Like all the good and bad things we've seen this season, we saw them all in the space of like 2 hours. And one of them was that we'd found a way to get in behind and create chances. Bailey had the better of Beckles for his chance in extra time at the end, right in the last seconds. But then it feels like we find this way of playing and doing and getting our reward for it, and then it's like we go, oh well, we've done that now. We've perfected that. Let's go and do something else. Let's go and try something else. It's not going to work. And it just felt the things that we did well on, because we got so much praise from Orient fans and from neutrals and from our own fans on Saturday, for particularly how well Fevrier did on Saturday.
Yeah.
And he was almost anonymous last night. We just didn't play to his strengths whatsoever. We didn't seem to be playing as wide as we were. And that continued when Diamond came on. We weren't getting in one-on-one wide. It was just very frustrating.
Those beautiful passes from Ollie Norwood that we saw on Saturday just weren't landing, and they almost seemed kind of panicked. There were balls flying up in the air, and I didn't realize this. And it's kind of secondhand observations, but apparently it was actually quite windy. And so when in the first half we were, which way was it? They going against the wind, and so that's why the ball was kind of flying up and just kind of dropping down, whereas in my head it was that they were kind of panicking and hoofing it, but they just kind of lacked that precision and that kind of clinicalness that we'd seen more of on Saturday.
We did seem very jittery, particularly defensively. Not that we were like giving up, making stupid mistakes and giving up chances, but when we snuffed out a chance and we had a chance to counter, it just seemed to be we put it out for a throw-in or we just hammer it upfield. It just didn't seem as though we were thinking about things, and it got very, very frustrating at times. But we got the by now standard second half bollocking.
Yeah.
The half-time bollocking. I mean, brave move at half-time, changing both your fullbacks.
I know, and it meant that we didn't get a proper kind of Brad Hills goodbye.
No, we didn't. He'll, as much as we spoke about how good he was, like previously, I think he's struggled at times in the last 2 or 3 games, and I think that'll do more for his development than the games that he coasted through. I think he's going back to Norwich or wherever he ends up next. He's even much the better for that. But it was a shame. But I think he did struggle last night. When we get to that'll be a very interesting position to talk about on the retained list stuff later, actually, because there'll be some big changes in the fullback positions.
Yeah,
big changes everywhere. Yeah. But I think the major positive is we did get an ape shit moment in the second half. It did feel as though that goal was coming. It did.
Yeah.
It did. And just the whole hugging strangers thing, it was just, people I will never speak to again and haven't before, that sort of thing, just being all
And
over.
there were quite a lot, both before and after, you're out of your seat, then your head's in your hands.
Yeah.
I had to keep apologizing to the woman next to me who I'd never met before because I kept grabbing her arm, in like type way.
Mike Hudson says Hills was playing right back, that's why he struggled. I agree. I mean, it's not his natural position, but he's played right back quite a lot. Yeah.
Since Fraser came back.
Yeah, ever since Fraser came back, that's been it, and he's been alright. But he's not going to give you the attacking threat of a Noyle or a Southam Hales.
No.
I would love it if we could combine the defensively solid Torre and the much better going forward Ryan Rydell into one solid left back who can get up and down and do it
Yeah.
all.
Well, we
That's
can
my
breed
wish.
them in the goalkeeper incubator at Stepping Hill.
Now, don't you come handsplaining breeding to me, given that you don't want Owen Moxon's blood-covered shirt. That's your opportunity to start the farm.
Oh, he was good though last night, Owen Moxon.
I don't think he was as good as Saturday.
No.
but that's
He's
very
found, but he's
difficult.
found his and you know, like all of them, there were the jittery, nervous,
Yeah.
kind of random passes, if you can call them that. But there were also moments of brilliance.
He's a tall lad as well. Moxon is. He must be 6'4". He's very nimble. He's very athletic for a
I
lad
think
that
he's
size.
that tall. Hang on.
I've only seen him sat down. He just strikes me as tall on the pitch, but I mean, I'm 6'4", but
He's definitely smaller than you.
oh yeah, oh god, yeah. Well, everyone is, apart from Corey Adai.
Yeah, look, he's not. Can you see that? He's not that much taller than. I mean, he's kind of leaning, but maybe I suppose if I don't know.
I'll
Sorry,
Google
did
it
you know
anyway.
that I met Owen Moxon?
We've all met Owen Moxon, mate. Right, I'll have a look anyway. So Owen Moxon's height is does it say?
It'll say in centimeters or something. Woke.
186 centimeters.
Don't know what that
what's
means.
That? See in feet. Yes, he is 6'1".
Huh.
Thank you.
What? That's not that tall. I don't think that's that tall.
No, I suppose. I mean, not to me. It's not. No.
No, but
he's a dwarf.
equally, I think
He might as well be Danny DeVito, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh dear. Where are we up to in proceedings?
It just didn't feel. I don't think there were any particularly bad individual performances, and that's been the case when we have dropped points during the regular season. It's not been a case of like horrible individual performances.
No.
It's just as a team we've not got to the level we've played. But as someone who's been saying pretty much all season that it feels like one of those where we just miss out before going up the next season, in a weird way, I'm happy to be proved right. It proves that we do know what we're talking about, I think.
I think, yes. I think penalties are a lottery, aren't they, Nick? So
You've been so nice to me all season, and then you go and do that.
I did that at 6:20 this morning.
I laughed so hard.
But I think the outcome of the game doesn't. We had the chances. We should have taken them in normal time and extra time.
Yeah.
So the fact that we lost on penalties, we could so easily have won it in normal time. And I can't even remember where I started on this. I got distracted by penalties being lotteries. I don't know. We were so close, and I think that's what stings. Like, as much as I have been very much, I don't think we'll end up going up. There's still that tiny glimmer of hope. Yeah. And you don't realize until it's taken away. Like, I went to the loo in the middle of the night, and on the way back to bed, I was like, oh yeah, we're not getting promoted.
Yeah.
Like, that happened.
But I think we played 90 minutes of football on Saturday, and on the balance of things, did enough to win. We win most games playing like that.
Yeah.
Last night we played 2 hours of football, and on the balance of it, we play like that all the time. We'll win games. So it's like 3.5 hours of football that we were.
Right.
I think most Orient fans would say we were the better side, but as we've had with us, like during the season, not playing well and picking up wins, that's a sign of a team that are going to go places, and that's what Orient have done. And we said the other week, we've got to be careful we've got to beware of the team that sneaks into the playoffs on the last day.
Right.
And
And
there it is.
they had a woeful start to the season.
Mm.
Like, we had Marshall on here, and he knew. He was like, I think it's going to turn around, and of course it did. But they had a dreadful start to the season, and there was talk of Richie Wellens going, and Marshall was saying, "Oh no, he's just moved down here. His job's safe," and all of that. They have massively outperformed their budget.
Yes.
They've got their new owner in the form of David Ganley, and I think it'll be really interesting to see how they do next season, and will be more indicative of what Championship might be like for us than Wrexham and obviously Birmingham.
Yeah, of course.
So they're one to watch, and we've followed in their footsteps. So they came up to League Two in 2019. They obviously won League Two in 22-23, was it? Yeah.
Yes. Totally.
So they've been sustainable, and all of that. So we'll see. I mean, they're not in the Championship yet, are they? I keep forgetting that.
We've got to hope.
Like, there's
I
a whole
hope for an
other
Orient
game.
Charlton final. I think.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a good occasion. I think it'd be close to selling Wembley out as well.
Yeah, that's what the guy that was on from Orient with me on 5 Live this morning, that's what he said. He said Wickham don't have the same appeal, but Orient.
Stephen is a good egg. Stephen is,
yeah. He sounded so much more awake than me, given that he'd apparently had 2 hours sleep. So credit to him. But it'll be interesting. I always said that I didn't want Charlton in the playoffs, but now selfishly, I'd quite like Charlton to go up, because it's a shit away day in terms of getting to it. It's in that bloody low emissions zone, and it's a good hour further than everywhere else. Quite enjoyed my 2 away days to Orient on the train.
Well, the low emission zone isn't an issue for you now in your
no, it's not.
Nazi-mobile,
which has been one of the things that I've done today to cheer myself up is buy my car presents.
What have you bought for your car? Come on, this is what we've all been. This is what the whole show has been building towards. 42.
Do we want to do that, or do we want to finish the bloody game?
We'll chat about it. As soon as it went to penalties, and I saw our 11 players lined up on the halfway line, I feared, because I could not see outside of Oliver Norwood, who was taking a penalty. Did I just full name Oliver Norwood there? Ollie Norwood. Yeah. So Ollie Norwood, him aside, no Will Collar on the pitch.
No.
No Tanto on the pitch, who's taken before, and it was just that point where I thought, never any doubt that Norwood would score. That's.
I mean, not that I've seen any of his penalties this season live, but I have watched a couple of them back, and he does take a very confident, beautiful penalty.
Yeah, and he went down the middle, which is my favourite thing to do on penalties. And then we get to. Now we should clarify, because there's been a lot of chat today about, fair play on player X for putting themselves forward, but. Well, I say player X. Fair play to Ryan Rydell for putting himself forward, but maybe he shouldn't again. It's like they didn't put themselves forward.
No.
It's based on the last 3 or 4 weeks of training.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but Ryan Rydell's penalty was about an inch away from being the perfect penalty.
Yeah, It was just one of those that goalkeeper was miles away from it. He thought Ryan thought it had gone in. Apparently, this is from a Villa mate, so it might not be the case.
He sort of like wheeled away to celebrate, and then saw.
And then that probably heard the crowd.
And then, Jack Diamond never looked confident. He walked up there like he had shit in his shorts, and then he did that it's another thing that boils my piss. That horrible like stuttered run up.
You see,
The
whenever Paddy
players
Madden
in the
did
top
that,
flight get that wrong. So
yeah, whenever Paddy did that, he'd miss or it'd be saved.
yeah,
It became like a bit of a weird tell.
yeah.
And one of the reasons that I stopped watching penalties was because it was, if I didn't see that, then I could pretend that it hadn't happened. But I had to, because I was in the main stand and people didn't stand up because everyone could see. I didn't stand up, like, so I had to do a weird like twisting in my seat to not see the penalties, which felt a little bit awkward as opposed to just turning my back. So maybe it's down to that as well.
The penalty shootout, Jack Diamond's penalty signalled the point where, at the age of nearly 38, I finally turned into my dad, because I heard myself saying loud and clearly, "Just put your bloody foot through it." So now we're on the penalty shootout. That brings us to a very relevant.
You're on Approved County Facebook group. Post of the week.
I'm not
So-
sure I've got the mental fortitude to cope with this.
There's some good content in this one that fits in with what we're talking about, but then it's ended with two awful cliches that make me want to hurt someone. So I'm assuming that's the reason it got rejected. Corey seeing their keeper's water bottle had the penalty takers' names on it and wanging it into the crowd was first class. Well worth a yellow. Fine. Good insight, that. Tonight was a free hit. We go again. More of those coming up later.
So that happened last season in the Donny
Yes, it did.
Crew semi-final, and exactly the same thing happened. Corey, by contrast, didn't have it on his water bottle. He had a laminated sheet
Which he gave.
which he took down to, like, at the end when we changed ends at extra time. He took it then from Nick Holgan, and I like the idea. Maybe he thought he was bored and he'd be able to do a bit of revision while the game was going on.
Yeah. We're just constantly attacking it. I've got nothing to do with that as well. But apparently he gave it to a fan behind the goal to hold during the shootout.
Oh, really?
Apparently, yeah.
Nice.
Another little thing, that after their second penalty, a big cheer went up that I thought it was that it had to be retaken. I thought he was off his line, they had to retake it.
Oh,
So I thought that was what the cheer was. But it turns
Right.
out the cheer was for Corey throwing the water
throwing the
bottle.
water
That was what it
bottle.
was. But
'Cause
there was a point where the
their
referee spoke to
keeper-
Corey as well. So I think he'd not saved it, but the referee had said if you'd saved that, it'd have to be retaken because you were off your line.
Right. And so their keeper at that point is like beckoning to the bench and he's doing this. Like, so I realized what had happened quite quickly.
Yeah.
It's just, it's proper shithousery. But
That's very much my flavour of shithousery, that.
I love
It's-
yeah,
yeah.
good for him.
Yeah, they're going to have to start finding, like, new ways to... I
Well,
mean, you could have
equally
put
as
theirs
well,
on the scoreboard
Like,
for Corey.
what intel did they have on our penalty takers? So they, like, Ollie Norwood, obviously, fine. He's taken quite a few over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
They'd have that.
Yeah. But other than that...
The others, I mean, Ryan Rydell, bless him. Unfortunately, there's a fair bit of data.
Yes,
it's not recent.
regrettably so. Yeah. Yes, it's just... It's a horrible... I know, I think we had a penalty shootout around, must be like 98, 99-ish in, I think it was a League Cup against Mansfield. We had a shootout, and I wasn't at that game. So up until the Salford game, my only experience of penalty shootouts was with England. So there's an inherent trauma
Mm.
attached to them up until recently.
Penalties are traumatic. It's a really
It's
cruel
horrible.
way to decide massive games.
But now, thanks to Sir Gareth, with England being my only experience of shootouts, I expect England to win shootouts now because England do win shootouts now.
Well, yeah.
But I need County to get to that stage now. That's what I
But
need.
wouldn't it have been the perfect opportunity at that point for them to say, no, we're not going to have a penalty shootout. Gentlemen, get your PGMOL letter briefcases and join us on the centre circle. Can you imagine? It would have been brilliant.
See, this is it. If you put your
I
master
would have
plan into
even
action.
let them get away with that light show thing. Like there was at the back of the pop side, there was a bulb going. And I said to Dan, I was like, oh, that's the light show. But you know, they
that
could have had the scoreboards going right, like not the scoreboards, the
Advertising
what's it called? The advertising boards. They could have been all lit up and flashing. Richie Wellens, come on down.
Just flash everything red.
Oh
So
my god, it'd be mega.
Oh.
I really do think that they should adopt this because you could have
mean-
live reviews, couldn't you? Like,
And we'd have won.
oh my
as well.
god.
We'd have won if it was on PGMOL letters.
Yeah.
We'd be
Yeah,
sorted.
so that's I do think that my spectacular idea would have worked well, and I'll await its inclusion in next season's playoffs.
Well, we'll send some strongly worded letters to PGMOL and the FA, and we'll get that in. Not that we'll be in the playoffs next year because we're going up automatically.
No.
As we do.
Yeah, because we have to finish higher than third because those are the rules. Right, I've got a question for you that
Hit me,
might
baby.
go a similar way to your question to me about Charlie Kellman's onside decision. At what point in the penalties did you leave your position in the stadium, and would you have got a tick or a cross from David Challoner?
That's nice link. I stayed till the end.
Is there any evidence for this? Because
on
lots of
stage,
people are
so-
saying that they stayed until people are taking it very, very, very personally. It's like there was someone earlier on, I think it must have been on Twitter. And they're like, I've got receipts. I've been to 46 games this season. Like, credit to you. He's clearly not talking about, and I think that's the thing that, you know, the people who have been there week in, week out, who stayed until the very end, and well, I've got a story there. It's one of those weird things that could never happen to anyone else, but I was one of the last people to leave the main stand for various reasons. And there was a little bit of an exodus in the main stand. And bearing in mind, people are saying, oh, you know, on the Cheadle end, people come down. I don't necessarily think that he was talking about the Cheadle end. So what happened in the main stand is that people came down. There were some people maybe with kind of additional accessibility needs, and people who wanted to get out. You know, maybe at that point it was, I think it, as he said, it was 3-1. So there was some access requirements. It was late. Like, it was, you know, people would exams tomorrow.
That's
people
it.
with an early start. People with 6 a.m. alarms to go on the radio and talk about something that they don't want to talk about.
And not everyone lives in Stockport either.
No,
not everyone was
there were last
in...
buses and trains and all of that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think if you dig into that, there's certainly a frustration with the fans that he's vocalized previously.
Yeah,
I think, and I think he's quite right. But this is, I'm trying to choose the words carefully. I think there's an element of it being a diluted fan base now. You've got more people than ever who are just turning up just for the football. So I think that's going to maybe, because I did not think the atmosphere was all that.
No, but we talked about this earlier, and that there are the people who behave like complete dickheads in terms of trying to artificially manufacture a kind of like a momentary kind of uplift in enthusiasm. And it happened to me at Notts County last season, and I was so in my own little kind of nervous, anxious bubble that I just wanted it to be over, but I was so tightly wound up that I couldn't sing or shout, or I just needed it to kind of play out in front of me. And I think there was a little bit of that yesterday as well. I think the early goal didn't help. After all of that build up and the bloody pyros and the tifo and so it was neutralized quite early on, and I don't think it really recovered until I guess the end of normal time, and then the second half of extra time when there were that flurry of chances and everyone's properly up and excited about it. But to your point, and then I've got a Dave Chalner theory, but just going back to my weird conversation. So when I came back, I think it's at half time or maybe extra time, there was a couple in front of me. This I don't imagine for a second that they will be listening, and I really don't want to cause them any offense whatsoever. I just find it funny what transpired. And so they were asking me about the different coloured wristbands. So they'd been a few times this season, hadn't been able to get a ticket kind of elsewhere, so had gone for hospitality. At half time, she's handing out her mints in the Liverpool Football Club little tin. So I don't think Stockport County's their first club, but we welcome all and sundry. So after I've stood there till the bitter end, clapping, single tear floating down my cheek, very, not doing the like ugly crying. It was just a very, a moment of reflection.
It was very dignified.
Yeah. She turns around and she's like, so, and she'd already asked me what the difference was between the buffet and the 3-course meal. But by this point,
you'd thought that would be a self-explanatory thing,
right?
Even as a prime buffetsman myself, I think I'd answered that easy.
So then she asked me about what I had to eat for every single course. And I honestly felt by the end of it like I could have got a job selling hospitality packages for the club. Liam Richardson has packed his stuff up and come down the stairs. Everyone's gone. And I'm still stood there, like in this kind of semi-devastated. Do
you people understand anything about trauma?
Like, can you not see? I'm clearly, a bit sad. Oh, it was just surreal. Absolutely surreal.
I'm getting royal family vibes, like, oh, what have you had for your tea?
Yeah, but like and then are there any options? When do you find out what you're getting to eat?
Is it gluten free? Get out.
Yeah. Oh, he's quite fussy, my husband. So like he says, oh, but that sounds all right. It was just utterly surreal. But back to my Dave Challoner. I've got I don't know whether it's a controversial take. I don't know whether it's a hot take. I've not seen anyone else mention it today. So let's see how it goes down. I wonder if Dave Challoner has thrown himself under a bus intentionally to divert attention from the players. I think it's a weird. You could. I mean, the only other thing is that it was a very emotional point, and he, got caught up in it all and, you know, all of that. But at the same time, I think he knew what he was doing. And if you read through the Facebook group today, a vast majority of the posts seem to be about variations on that. Same on social media, on social media, on X. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I agree wholeheartedly. It's straight out of the Mourinho Ferguson playbook.
You see, I was going to go James McLean. I prefer that. I prefer your version.
Yes. Well, that's not meant. Even though James McLean's mentioning us, we won't mention him. How about that? That's fair. Even though he's posted about us today.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, just a picture of him blowing the kisses at the county fans, and it says good night. That's, gimp, get a fucking life. No, I'm convinced that this is it. I think he knows all the tricks of the trade. Yeah, that's just the type of thing Mourinho or Ferguson or any number of top managers will do, where they'll it takes the pressure off, because. Yeah. I've not seen anyone wrongly deriding players as bottle jobs or shit or whatever adjective thickos tend to use for players. So
yeah, it's very low level.
But do you also think that was the reason for the Simon Wilson statement today?
The Simon Wilson statement was a bit weird.
It was almost needless, really.
Yeah, maybe. Because I wondered that when I opened it, whether it was going to offset that in some way. But you know, maybe it's all planned. And do you know what? I think Dave Challoner's priority will always be his players and his team.
Yeah, it should
and be, that, you know, he will have seen first. I mean, we saw how utterly devastated Tanto was. So Tanto came in to the 1883 for the man of the match presentation. He was still, I mean, by that point, I guess it was about an hour after the finish, maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah, I have never seen a footballer that inconsolable in 30 years of watching football.
I credit to him for coming in. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I would hope that he was given the opportunity to not. But he stood there and he took his man of the match trophy, gin. I mean, the thing that stuns me still, and it was only one person, that anyone would approach him and ask for a photo, because the last thing when you're in that, I mean, I didn't even want to talk about the flipping food options in the 1883, let alone have a camera shoved in my face when I am in floods of I can't.
That made me so uncomfortable.
But what a man to go through that, and you know, to be that brave. And he hopefully, like Charlie said last night, you kind of take these experiences and you move on and you learn something from them and you use it. But
same as Carlisle, they'll turn up for the first day at Carrington and there'll be a picture of Orient celebrating on the dressing room wall, as there was with Carlisle, and we'll use it to push on.
And do you know what? It hurt more because they were celebrating in our house.
Yeah. Under the roof that we'd inexplicably given them, which helped them make a bloody racket.
Yeah, true. I didn't tell you this. There's loads that we haven't actually talked about. So my brother, Charlotte, and my dad were right up against the segregation. With the county fan chucked out for just being, well, drunk, but also screaming and shouting across the seg line. They said that most of the time it was actually fine. They thought at first that it might have been Orient, like friends and family allocation, because they seemed kind of more subdued. But yeah, Alex said that there was a bit of back and forth, but if you weren't giving it to them as clearly my dad, Charlotte, and Alex aren't going to be, then it wasn't, that was after my dad and Alex had abuse hurled at them when they walked past the Nelson. But that happens on an average Tuesday. So yeah, it was. Ultimately, penalties were facing the Cheadle end anyway, so it didn't matter, did it? But
exactly, yeah. Which was apparently done on police advice, according to
what,
Richie
shooting
Wellens.
to the Cheadle end?
Apparently, according to Richie Wellens' post-match interview on the Orient page, on the Orient YouTube, he said the police had decided before the game that the penalties should... Now, I'm assuming it's because they don't want... If it's at the other end, then... Because I know after the Salford one, there was people... It was obviously at the railway end, and there was people who just decided, instead of celebrating with our players, they ran on the pitch to go and give it out to the Salford fans. So maybe there's an element of that. Same thing happened against Halifax when they were in the railway and then we got promoted. There's people giving it out. So very prominent people, weirdly. So yeah, that was about. But apparently that has happened before elsewhere. That there is a precedent for that happening. But either way, there was county fans behind both goals anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference. Do we have anything else on Orient before I give you another? I give you the third of four.
No, let's get it on, because it can kind of lift the mood a little bit.
Okay, let's do it then.
I'll get my
Groove County Facebook group post of the
week. This one's not as bad as the others. I don't think. So whose bright idea was it?
Have you saved the best for last?
Oh, I've saved the best for last as like the show closer. It's a poem. You've got to close on a poem.
Oh, go on.
So, So whose bright idea was it for county fans to wave white flags?
My favourite of all of them so far.
I think it's my favourite thing that's ever been posted anywhere in the world. Imagine after the game thinking that and going, yeah, I'll post that. Yeah.
With Dido, like white flag in the background.
County's playoff exit is brought to you by Dido. Oh God,
We'll whack that on my playoff despair playlist, which I had after Carlisle, and at the time it consisted largely of some riders. Better to have fought and lost than never fought at all. And it's like, we'll see you here, same time, same place next year. Lols.
I put one of my playlists on when I got in last night, and Adele immediately came on. I was like, nope, it's not the time for shuffle.
Not today, Satan.
Oh, right. We should get on.
Every time I see that, like pictures of that T-phone, now I'm gonna just see people like, we surrender.
There was people in 4 of the lower tiers who were happily surrendering before the game, and I will never forgive them for it. I don't know why that post stayed unapproved, to be honest. That should have been...
It would have brought people so much. Like, look at the amount of joy that it's brought me. Sort it out.
Oh, right. Oh, well, we'll have words about that. Right, let's get on to... I'll tell you what we're going to get on to.
Reasons to be cheerful. Part 3.
Done. Right. There we go.
Part 3? Have I missed parts 1 and 2?
No, the song's called Part 3, and it was harder to cut it elsewhere, so I just had to.
Oh, right.
Sorry, Hannah. Sorry, I can't do it all. Yes, reasons to be cheerful. Talk to me, Hannah. What are our reasons to be cheerful?
So my shop. Oh, I'll tell you about the things I bought for my car. So I am a notorious.
I love how we're starting with the Hannah-centric reasons to be cheerful, and
Yeah,
we'll move on
'cause-
to the ones for the wider fan base after.
Yeah, I mean, I fully advocate for retail therapy. Also, the Ferrero Rocher cheesecake at half time was exactly what was needed in terms of comfort food. I sent a picture of it to Marshall, and he said something like, see if you can pinch a second one. But I didn't see that reply until after Tanto's goal. And I'm thinking, why is he telling us to score another one? Yeah, he wasn't. It was dessert related. I've bought an air vent adapter. I've bought a fancy air freshener for my car. I've bought some like bucket things to go in the weird holes that it's got in the boot. I bought some jeans. I bought the dog. I spent £47 on dog food and treats to cheer him up. That's how much I have lost the plot today. And I bought the little Tesla dog from the Tesla screen, like the dog screen. You can buy a little ornament. I bought one of those, like to go on the back of the screen.
Can
but yeah,
we get the club to do ornament in a similar fashion? Ornaments of the Vitality dog, please.
no, it freaks me out, that dog.
I love that little fucker.
Right, every time it goes running, I'm like, oh, squirrel! Like, I can't. And it reminds me of, you don't watch Ted Lasso, but anyone who has watched Ted Lasso, that should be your bloody project for the summer. There's a greyhound in Ted Lasso that reaches an unfortunate end.
Spoiler.
On the pitch. It gets booted by the ball. It's not really a spoiler, but you know, it's not a great happy story part of Ted Lasso. And so every time that sausage dog goes, I think about this dog dying in Ted Lasso. So yeah,
Shout
I
out
think
for the drums. Well, we're on advertising boards. Drumstick squashies, I've noticed last few games.
yeah, I always like that. It makes me happy.
But drumstick squashies, people, you don't need to advertise to me. I'm on board already.
All of
I
my
look like
American
one at the moment
friends
with my arms.
All of my American friends are obsessed with squashies. It used to always be Percy Pigs that they asked for, and now it's always squashies.
Interesting that I'd say Percy Pigs and squashies have got a bit of a likeness to taffy, which the Americans love.
Yeah, but taffy's kind of less gummy.
Yes, yeah.
It's more like a Mawam bar. Yeah, so I asked Charlotte on the way home from school. I was like, Nick and I are doing like a reasons to be cheerful. What are your reasons to be cheerful? Sophie was there. So Sophie's was that I get to do a League One podcast with Liam and Harry and the Donny lot. So that's exciting. And maybe Marshall, if they don't go up.
Depending on how it goes. Come on, Charlton or Wickham, who are currently deadlocked at 0-0.
Yeah,
and probably play until a week is the case.
And the other one, and Charlotte straight away with, well, we don't have to lose at Wembley, do we? I thought, yeah, fair enough.
That's the main one, and that's immediately jumped to the top of my list, I think.
Yeah, and funnily enough, it's so funny because was it you that was talking about this? Like we've had the same trajectory in terms of when I started going in like the early 90s, I had this kind of rapid ascent, and I saw County lose at Wembley and lose in the playoffs. Like that was what happened. And then obviously the 96-97 promotion, and Tom Bennett was on my table last night. If that's not the biggest omen, I don't know what is.
There we go.
But Charlotte's the same. Charlotte, has seen us have those promotions in quite quick succession, and she's seen us lose at Wembley. So in her head, she's got exactly the same Stockport County frame of reference as I have, which is bizarre.
Yeah. She's going to start putting bets on soon.
She probably does it already.
Yeah, probably.
She's got a little I'm going at school.
In the comments, great shout from Steve Holmes. Reasons to be cheerful. We get to batter Bolton again next year. I'm going to nominate very early on that the Bolton fans are going to be the weirdest ones next year.
They've been a
That's
bit
the
weird
weirdest.
today, haven't they? I mean, they're
Yeah,
always a
they've
bit
not piped up
weird.
for a few months, and then all of a sudden,
I mean, Bolton have been in the playoffs for the last few years
Mm.
and fucks it every time. So I recognise that having the playoffs in League One without Bolton, Burnley, and Peterborough nowhere near is a little bit unusual because Bolton and Burnley have Barnsley. Oh my God!
same thing. It's all teams we don't care
Yeah,
about.
but why is this? I make myself sound so stupid all the time. I do know the difference. It's just like a weird block. Yeah, so I get it. They see us as the little club from down the road, and it's a bit of a shock to the system to them, and they're just not okay with it.
Yeah.
But
Most
another one of mine is not one but two transfer deadline days.
Oh God, yeah, because of well,
Because
I'm
of the
excited.
World Clubs Championship.
I'm quite
not that I
excited
don't-
for the World Club Championship. To be honest, I'm on board.
and it's the women's Euros as well.
So I'm going to be fine for the summer. I'm going to be fine. Of course, we'll get 2 weeks into June, and I'll just be texting you, going, "When's it coming back? When's it?"
Yeah.
Hudson, Mike Hudson's reason to be cheerful is the same as mine, actually. 12 clubs within 75 miles. Blackpool, Bolton, Wigan, ourselves, Vale, Burton, Mansfield, Lincoln, Barnsley, Rotherham, Doncaster, Huddersfield, Bradford. Very excited.
Yeah. Donny's salt and pepper chicken is the best food I've had at any away ground ever, I think. So I'm super
We'll add that
excited
to our list of
about
content.
that. We should do, I'll do away food next year.
Damn well, two away trips to the seaside.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think
Cardiff's
we've looked.
a good
I'm
one
not
as
getting
well.
too excited because we had Blackpool in August.
Yeah,
that's
we
the
can't
dream.
be that
But that's
lucky
not going to
again.
happen. We're not going to be that lucky again. So
They're going to put
today
that
for Plymouth
on
away.
like, given all the police problems and the allocation that changed after we went, that's going to be on a Tuesday in February or something shit.
Yeah, I'm convinced. It's not going to be when we want it. None of them will be. Not a reason to be cheerful. SMB used to work at Swizzles, so he knows how they're made and he won't touch them. Doesn't stop me. If I see that my favourite takeaway has got like 0 on the IG certificate thing, I'll just order double. I don't care.
So my mum is the same with Love Hearts. She worked there like when she was a student, and she used to talk about these big vats of Love Heart thing, and the like wasps is getting them and all sorts. But this would have been in the like 60s, I guess. So I'm sure that things have improved.
They probably spray pesticide to stop the wasps now that'll get in the Love Hearts. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah. What else is there to be cheerful about?
Well, we're going into new kits.
New kits is always really exciting.
New kits, friendlies, possibly a new sponsor midway through next season for the BDSM whips and chains sponsored by Rihanna Trophy.
Yeah, at least one.
Yeah, sounds exciting.
Oh, maybe a pre-season tour. That would be exciting.
Pre-season tour. 2 opportunities for major national cup runs again that we are long overdue.
Oh yeah, one will be finished by mid-August, but
we'll be. but those under 15s who won the Floodlit Cup will get some valuable first team experience as we get battered by Swansea. Cardiff, a new ground for a lot of people. Cardiff, what is their new ground?
Hooters is closed though, hasn't it?
I'm glad Hooters is closed.
I've got a bit of a soft spot for Hooters, largely because like from going to America, it was always so kind of stereotypically American. Like you go there and you eat wings and you watch sport. I recognize that it's not. I don't think I've been to one in the UK actually. I imagine it's quite a different experience.
Imagine Hooters in Nottingham or Cardiff. It's going to be bleak. But you know what? You know what Cardiff means? Cardiff means we can go to Barry and do the Gavin and Stacey tour.
Let's. I'd love that. I like Cardiff as a.
I'm so excited, and not just for the tour, for the whole thing. They Philbin will enjoy that.
And a good one for Cardiff is you can park in Newport and get the train. It's super easy and less hassle than Cardiff.
Excellent. Well, it's sorted.
Just here with the local news and highlights.
We will most likely as well have a lot of new players to get excited about, which takes us nicely. I think we should have a quick speculate about the retain list after this. So, as I mentioned at the top of the show, Challoner said in his interview that he'd be talking to players on Friday. So you'd imagine retain list will be by Monday at the latest. So in terms of...
But I don't like that, like the idea of them like queuing up outside his office at Carrington. And his office is all like glass fronted as well, so...
Well, it's like the thing with... when Glenn Hoddle was doing his World Cup 98 squad, and they had I think it was like 6 players on standby that were going to get dropped, and Paul Gascoigne was sat by the pool, and apparently I can't remember it was one of the members of Glenn Hoddle's staff came and walked past him, and Gazza said like, "Oh, I'm in the squad, aren't I?" And then he didn't say no, but he gave a look, and Gascoigne just turned up and smashed Glenn Hoddle's room up, like, and screamed at him and all this, and like, so all the other players are like, knowing this is going on, and so you've got kind of like, there's a nice way to do these things. I would speculate that maybe Will Collar, the way that he left the pitch yesterday would make me, unless it is just a preempt. You know, talks have already been had, possibly. I think we know from last year that Paddy Madden, like, talks were had in January with Paddy Madden.
But then
so this isn't the first we'll hear about it.
When I mean, not that he would say anything, but that night, the big night out, when all the players were out on Castle Street, he asked me if I was going to Pinatar again, and I always thought that was really odd because there's absolutely no need to. Yeah. But I think he knew what was coming and maybe didn't 100% know what the terms would be and things like that. I think if you'd have asked me this question yesterday, my answer would be quite different. I think there are some players, Will Collar is one, that if we had have been promoted, I think his future at the club would be less certain.
Yeah.
I think he is one of those players that perhaps we would start to see less of next season, but you always get the impression that he would walk through walls for us. And he did an interview with Radio Manchester. Obviously, he's got a baby on the way. Lots of talking about the stresses and strains of this time of year and not knowing where you're going to be. So, I think my suspicion would be that he might be offered a contract that Paddy and Sars were offered and turned down. But maybe that's me being a little bit nostalgic. And
yes, a lot of these. So I'll go through. So in terms of the first team players that are out of contract, you got Southam Hales, Noyle, Camps, Collar, Horsfall, and Torre. Now they're every single one of those is at an age where this could be their last big contract, which gives you reasons to think maybe they could well all get offered something by the club, but choose to go elsewhere for a longer deal. They might go longer deal, but less money.
I wonder if Ibby would go back to Salford.
Southam Hales, Noyle, Camps, Collar, and Torre in particular I think Salford would be all over us because doing what we've done, signing players who've already won promotion from that league, same as Bradford
Yeah.
have done this season.
I mean,
you know what
look
I mean?
at Sars, like 12 months on,
Yeah.
he's going to be playing League One football.
Yeah.
Just with a different team. And, you know, the number of people that I know that have got Sarcevic 90 plus 6 tattoos is bizarre, especially since he didn't actually score the goal. So, you know, there is opportunity, like Ryan Croasdale at Port Vale. He's had a brilliant season. These are, you know, still players that have got so much potential. And my concern, like last season, which we then kind of backfilled with Ollie Norwood to a certain extent, but it was obviously never the immediate plan. And he's another one. Like, I know he's on a 3-year contract, but he's got himself in a position where, like, my Villa fan friend rang me today. He's like, what earth did Ollie Norwood end up playing for you? I was like, oh, there is a kind of well-known story that goes with it. But, you know, now that he's proven himself, could he go back to the Championship and do a job for some, or is he just happy kind of playing around? Mike Hoodie says Sars only played 26 games. He did, but he was injured for a
same as he has been for us, which a lot of people tend to forget. You were saying then about would Norwood possibly want to go back to the Championship if offered? I mean, I'm sure there's a possibility. You never know. I think he'll stay with us, but you never know what could happen. What we shouldn't be doing this afternoon.
Your microphone is popping in and out, so I don't know if it's a thing for me or not.
But yes, so someone suggested that we should get rid of Norwood. Not like the old players on big money, Norwood and Powell. We should get shot. It's like, have you watched us this season, particularly in the last few months?
Yeah, no. Croasdale was there last night, as was Ash Palmer, as was
Paul Turnbull was
Minihan, Jordan Keane.
Adam Lafondra was on co-commentary on Sky.
Yeah,
it was everyone was there. It's nice. I love how we look after. Oh, Danny Lloyd was on friend of the show. Danny Lloyd was on co-commentary on Radio Manchester.
Steve O'Hallahan was as well.
He's great on the radio. He's really good when I hear him.
Well, when I was on a couple of weeks ago, he was like, "Oh well, you know, when I was here for Lincoln, and we came from behind, and Blackpool and came from behind, and last night came from behind." But yeah, so I think of those they maybe people like Kyle Noyle could do a brilliant job in League Two.
I think there's going to be a lot of upheaval. I think we're going to. This might be. I know we've seen big. I mean, that's the price of just consistent success, like rising up the leagues. You are going to outgrow players quicker, and there will be players that you've fallen in love with, and this is going to be one of the hardest ones, I think, because I mean, Salvador Hales and Collar in particular, two players who've been like synonymous with the club.
I will be devastated if Maka goes, but I can't imagine, because he was given a year extension, wasn't he, last year, because he was injured. And, you know, I remember at the time thinking that it was good of the club to do that.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see how much of a kind of speculative investment there is in the team. You know, we've seen what Birmingham did. And you know, if you want to put all your eggs in one basket, not knowing what Luton, Cardiff, Plymouth are going to do, then, and you know, the ones coming up don't have massive budgets to throw at this. They really don't.
Bradford are the only one I can see trouble in the top six, really.
Yeah, but even then, like Stefan Rupp is, you know, a little bit remote from the club. He doesn't have a history of putting significant investment in. You know, they weren't that excited with their recruit. And obviously they've got Neil Byrne as well. They weren't that excited by their recruitment last summer, and obviously it turned out all right, but you know, by the skin of their teeth. And then you've got Chesterfield, who, I mean, they're 2-0 down after the first leg. They've got Walsall, and then Notts County, and who's the other one?
Wimbledon.
Notts County playing Wimbledon. Yeah, and Wimbledon go into the second leg up on Notts County without Jatta and without someone else who is going to be a big miss. Can't remember who it is.
In the do you want the update from Charlton Wickham? Still 0-0. Just
exciting.
Or in the National League, Rochdale are beating Southend 2-1. So both Rochdale and Oldham could be in the semi-final for the playoffs. So that's interesting. There's still football to keep an eye on.
Yeah,
still some in.
Yeah, and I really enjoy the playoffs. I like that there's one game a day.
Yeah. Yes, I prefer it when we're not in them. I prefer it when we've won the league and we're already on the beach, but you can't.
Yeah.
Right. I think we should probably wrap it up there. But before we do so, we should have our final unapproved county Facebook group post of the week.
Your unapproved county Facebook group post of the week.
Oh, I'm trying to get my best. I should have asked Will to film something of him.
Is it going to be like your therapist impression? Because, you know, maybe don't.
It'll be better than that. I can't do gravitas. I knew I should have asked Will for this. Right, so another.
Put it in the private chat. I'll do it.
Interestingly, this was posted by an anonymous member, and once you hear it, you're like, yeah, not surprised. Not surprised you're choosing to post anonymously there. So it's a poem, you know, like you do. You know, after the heartbreaking penalty shootout defeat, a bit of poetry often breaks out. It's oh God Almighty, right? Stockport fought in the playoffs blaze. Leighton Orient stood firm, unfazed. He spelled unfazed wrong as well. It should be F-A-Z-E.
I love that you assume it's the male.
No, it is, because I can also. I mean, little tip here. You can see the name of the person. If you're an admin in a Facebook group, you can see the name of the person who's posting anonymously. So.
We could accept blackmail for any of these. Like, if you want to stay anonymous, a little brown envelope slipped to.
I might see if I can become an admin. Just makes it easier. Stockport fought in the playoffs blaze. Leighton Orient stood firm, unfazed. Spelt wrongly. A penalty missed. Heart sank low. Heartbreak's tears began to flow.
And then someone asked you what your 3-course meal was and all the component ingredients, and snapped you right out of it.
It reminds me of that in the UK office where David Brent's reading his poetry out, and it's like, I froze your tears and made a dagger and stabbed it in my cock forever. And this is on the same level as that. Oh God, I'm actually crying now. I've actually got more tears in my eyes now than I did last night. I think I didn't cry last night until I saw Ryan Rydell being consoled, and then I
cried at the end, and then I cried at Tanto. Tanto broke my heart last night.
Oh, that was horrible. I had to leave at that point. That was the most depressing thing I've been a part of. But big up Tanto for actually turning up. Yes, Cam, it is absolutely vomit inducing. Thank you.
I've never wanted to give anyone a hug as much as I did him last night. Poor lad.
Oh, well, props to everyone. Props to us for doing nearly over an hour and a half of So I feel like everything's out of my system now. We'll probably have another episode or two when we get to we'll have a review of the season with a guest that we need to ask, but we've decided on. And we'll do an episode on the retained list, I think, probably Monday night. And yeah, me and Ben will be coming out with some episodes of Dave Smith Never Existed, so you can go back in time and look at some other county stuff rather than having to stew on this. And then we'll probably have a break for a couple of weeks at some point, and then we'll go out. Yeah, good.
Sounds good.
Right. Thank you to the 300 and odd people who've tuned in. That's much appreciated on a Thursday night.
Would have been more if Dan knew that it was going to be live. But
I know, idiot. Isn't it? He was privy to the discussion last night. These people. He said he saw the Facebook post. Yes, the Facebook post clearly labelled that it said live from 7 to 9. Just what chance have we got with listeners like that? God almighty. Right, shall we wrap it up?
Yeah.
Nearly for the season, but certainly for the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a game.
Thank you, everybody.
Fine.
It is just a game. Nobody died. And that's the main thing. Right,
Although
say
there
goodbye. Oh, go on. Hit me.
I was going to make a joke in really, really bad taste. Let's just move on.
Okay, do you want to text it to me after?
Probably.
Yeah, excellent. I want it texted to me. It's now 8:37. I want it texted to me by 8:40, please and thank you.
Okay.
Well, no, because I'll speak to you off air in a minute. It's fine.
Yeah.
Right, bye, everybody. We'll see you probably Monday night. Bye.